Hello all dreamers, welcome to Dream Battle, where your dreams become reality. This is a how to play video. I am Ender.
And I am Carmen. Man, I am not used to being on camera.
It's okay, Carmen, this will be no problem. Today, we shall be your guide to teach you how to play. The game begins with your deck, which contains 60 Dream Battle cards. You can get cards from starter decks, booster packs, and other special things.
Each deck can only have 3 of the same cards in a deck, unless otherwise stated. And you start a game of Dream Battle with 500 health points. Your goal in the game is to drop your opponent's health points to 0 and cause them to wake up.
Each card costs hours to play, which are these symbols here on the card. For each one of these symbols, it costs an hour to play.
You gain hours every turn, gaining 1 on your first turn, 2 on your second, and 3 on your third, all the way to 12 hours. These hours do not pile up over turns. You get a fresh set of hours every turn. So if you have any leftover hours from your previous turn, they disappear at the start of your turn.
Cards come in 2 types, creature cards and nap cards. Creature cards are the basis of your deck, and should be about 55 to 60% of your deck. And they are made in 2 varieties, normal and effect.
Normal creatures have no effect and are very simple, while effect creatures have special effects that can be activated at special times, such as when they enter the dream or when they are destroyed.
Next are nap cards, and they give special effects and bonuses. They come in 6 types: basic, comatose, counter, induced, dreamscape, and equip. Basic cards can only be activated during your main phase. Comatose can only be activated after being set during your main phase, and waiting until the start of the next turn to be activated. So, if you play a comatose card face down on your turn, you can activate it during your opponent's turn or your next turn.
Counter cards are next, and they can be played in response to other cards entering the dream or an effect of a card going off, such as a creature entering the dream. These can be played at almost any time, as long as you have the hours to pay for them. Induced cards stay on the field until their effects end or until they are destroyed.
Then there are dreamscape cards, which act as a kind of battlegrounds for the creatures. Having effects that affect your creatures over time, these cards stay on the battlefield until they are destroyed. There can only be 1 of these dreamscape cards on your side of the field at a time, so make sure to use them wisely. Lastly, there are equip cards, which attach to creatures to give them bonuses and are destroyed when the creature they are attached to is destroyed.
Cards also come in rarity, coming in common, uncommon, rare, very rare, and mythic. In a booster pack, you will gain 8 common cards, 4 uncommon cards, 1 guaranteed rare card, 1 rare or higher card, 1 foil card that can be of any rarity, and a token.
Next, we will talk about the Dream. The Dream is your play space, having 6 creature card zones, 6 nap card zones, the deep sleep zone, and the coma space zone. You play cards from your hand into the Dream.
The creature card zones are where you play creatures from your hand or anywhere else, having a maximum of 6 creatures at a time. These creatures can be normal, effect, or even tokens, but in any combination of these, you can only have 6 on the field at a time.
Nap cards are in a similar boat, or dream, only having 6 zones to hold your nap cards. The deep sleep zone is where most cards go when they are used up or destroyed. Nap cards that have had their effects used, creature cards that are destroyed, and cards that are milled from the top of your deck go here.
The coma space is like the deep sleep zone, except these cards are considered out of the game. And unless a card specifically says it can get a card out of the coma space, the card is out of the game and cannot be targeted by other means.
Now we move to the fun part, the how to play. In a turn, you have 7 phases: the sleep phase, the draw phase, the main phase, the battle phase, the end phase, and the discard phase.
The sleep phase is where your hours recharge. If this is turn 3 and you had 1 hour left, it recharges to 3 hours. Effects that end at the start of your turn end in this phase. Then you move on to the draw phase, where you draw a card at the start of your turn. If you are going first in the game, You skip the draw step and you start the game with 7 cards in hand.
Then comes the first main phase. This is where you do most of your actions, such as playing creature cards, setting or playing nap cards, activating abilities of creatures, and much more. Then comes the battle phase, which comes up later in this video.
Then comes main phase 2, where you can play cards or activate effects you didn't activate during your first main phase. Then comes the end phase, and any card effect that says at the end of your turn ends or happens here.
Then comes the discard phase if needed. Basically, if you end your turn with 8 or more cards in your hand, you discard the cards until you have 7 left in your hand. Now, we move on to explaining what you all were waiting for. It's time for a dream battle!
Alright, we will start with an example. Let's say Ender has 2 hydrogen hamsters in his dream, and I have 1 Meep's Prowling Panther on mine.
I wish to move to my battle phase, and I attack him with both of my hydrogen hamsters. I attack my opponent directly, not his creatures specifically. It is up to Carmen whether or not he blocks to protect himself.
Which I will, using my Prowling Panther to block one of his hamsters, unless the creature says it can block 2 or more creatures at once with this effect. Creatures can only block 1 creature at a time, so I will block one of his hamsters with my Panther. Since its attack points, which are 5, are lower than my defense points, which are 30, my Panther destroys the hamster he is blocking.
However, my other hamster makes it through, dealing 5 damage directly to Carmen. I then will play a third hamster from my hand during main phase 2 and will end my turn.
Then he will move to my turn, and after my draw, I choose to immediately move to my combat phase. I will attack Ender directly with my Panther.
I will instead use both of my hamsters to block his Panther. In total, his Panther has 30 attack points, and combined my hamsters have 10 defense points, meaning 20 damage will go through to me and destroy both of my hamsters. Now, if they somehow had equal attack and defense points, such as my hamsters having a total of 30 defense and the Panther having 30 attack, they would trade, meaning both would be destroyed.
After all attacks have been declared, you can also use the time before the attacks land to play counter nap cards to either boost up your own creatures or dampen the power of your opponent's creatures. For example's sake, let's rewind back to my attack phase.
Carmen intends to attack me with his Prowling Panther, but I have a trick up my sleeve. I have 4 hours left from my previous turn and a counter nap card in my hand. He attacks, and this time I will declare no blockers. Now that blockers are declared, I can play my counter nap card, Psychic Barrier.
That means that my attack basically does nothing. My attack still goes through, but it will deal no damage.
Now we will talk about some terms and keywords that you may hear in the game, starting with Drowsy. Drowsy is a term that almost all creatures have. When a creature first enters the dream, they are drowsy. They cannot attack that turn, and abilities that require hours to activate cannot be activated until the start of your next turn.
The next term is Fight. If a card says to make a creature fight another creature, the creature selected battle, even if it's not the battle phase.
Then there is Mill. Mill is a very simple term. If a card says to mill a card, you put the top card of your deck into the deep sleep zone. So if a card says to mill 3 cards, you put the top 3 cards of your deck into deep sleep.
Now we move on to keywords. Keywords are the term on a card that give them a special ability based on their keyword. There are a few keywords, starting with Blitz. Blitz is a keyword that states it can be played at any time, as long as you have the hours to do so, like how counter nap cards work. You can play it during your turn, your opponent's turn, or at any point in between.
Next is Guardian. Guardian cards cannot attack, only defend, but normally they have higher defense points for their lack of attack.
Next is Soaring. A creature with Soaring flies over creatures who are on the ground level, making it so that they can only be blocked by other creatures with Soaring, or with another keyword later down the line.
And that keyword is Skyshot. Skyshot basically makes it so that the creature can block a soaring creature, even if it doesn't have soaring. Think of it as if you need to take down a flying creature. You will need a bow and arrow or a gun, something that can reach them.
Next is Swift. Swift is a keyword that states it does not come in Drowsy, meaning it can attack and activate abilities of creatures with Swift on the turn they are played. not having to wait a turn before doing so.
And lastly is Sneak. Sneak makes it so that a creature with Sneak can only be blocked by other creatures with Sneak. If Soaring is going over, think of Sneak as going under. You gotta be sneaky to catch a sneaky person.
Now you know everything you need to know to begin to play in the Dream Battle card game.
Now get out there, dream on, and remember, as a lucid dreamer, may your dreams become reality. Farewell.